Is the Google Play Store unfair to players?
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Paychex, where HR, insurance, benefits, and payroll integrate into one platform. Whether 2 or 2,000 employees, Paychex can help make HR simple for businesses and employees.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. What can we learn about money markets and business from the huge video game industry? We call our project here Skin in the Game, but today a lesson from the headlines on antitrust. A civil trial is set to start today, pitting video game maker Epic against Google. A jury in San Francisco will decide whether Google's App Store uses monopoly power to unfairly drive up prices for app developers and game players.
If this case sounds familiar, it's because Epic sued Apple over similar claims. The video game maker says both the iOS and Android mobile operating systems coerce users of Epic's popular Fortnite game to make in-app purchases through Apple's and Google's payment system, ensuring the tech giants get a cut of revenues. Epic wants to be able to include an alternative payment method that bypasses Apple's and Google's transaction fees. For the most part, Epic lost its battle against Apple, and both sides are appealing. Now it's Google's turn, and ahead of the trial, the company agreed to settle with other plaintiffs who were involved. 50 states, the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico, as well as Match Group, the operator of dating apps. Google agreed to pay Match $40 million and give it access to its so-called user choice billing system announced last year. Through that system, Google charges a lower service fee. Epic has dismissed that option, saying it still allows Google to tax transactions. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
The House of Representatives is expected to vote on its transportation funding bill this week. That vote was postponed last week after protests that it cuts too much money from Amtrak.
The legislation would fund the Departments of Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development. It's one of 12 funding bills Congress needs to pass and the president needs to sign to fund the federal government each year. But the House version of the bill would cut Amtrak funding by about $1 billion. It would claw back funding from infrastructure legislation Congress passed and President Biden signed in 2021. The White House says the proposed cuts would force Amtrak to reduce most of its long-distance rail service, run fewer trains along the popular Northeast Corridor, and scale back or postpone almost 400 capital projects. In September, a group of House Republicans wrote a letter to then House Speaker Kevin McCarthy protesting the cuts to Amtrak. The letter says Amtrak needs to be fully funded so it can rebuild bridges and tunnels, invest in stations and route improvements, and replace aging trains. As is, the House bill is unlikely to pass the Senate, and even if it did, it would be vetoed by President Biden. I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer for Marketplace.
Markets S&P futures are up 0.2%. The 10-year interest rate 4.59% now, up this morning, but down from the 5% in mid-October.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Odoo, provider of an all-in-one management platform with a suite of fully integrated applications designed to simplify and connect every aspect of business in one software. More at odoo.com. And by Schwab. Schwab offers investors choices like full-service wealth management, self-directed investing options, and trading on Thinkorswim. More at schwab.com. And by C3 AI. C3 Generative AI provides ChatGPT enterprise search that is verifiable, secure, and accurate across all enterprise data. C3.ai. This is Enterprise AI.
It happened as September turned to October. The U.S. drove off what some call the child care cliff, the deadline for child care providers to spend over $37 billion in federal pandemic-era subsidies. Many of the providers used the funds to pay their staff. Now that the money's gone, there is a forecast that tens of thousands of child care programs will close. Marketplace's Stephanie Hughes is watching this.
It's lunchtime at downtown Baltimore Child Care, and the preschoolers are getting ready for a race.
I'm gonna race.
Oh, you want to have a milk race with me?
To see who can drink their milk first.
Let's go for it.
The kids and teacher Ebony Goins all down their cups.
My bones are now strong.
Goins is one of 85 teachers here. The organization prides itself on having one teacher for every 7 preschoolers. That allows for fun activities like that milk race. Downtown Baltimore Child Care received just over $1 million in federal pandemic relief funds. Some of that bought gloves and bleach, but the vast majority went towards paying those teachers.
It was very important for us to keep all of our employees in jobs and in health benefits.
Executive Director Hillary Roberts King says now that the federal money is gone, she is fundraising and applying for grants. She's also keeping an eye on costs, putting off replacing the windows, for instance, and giving smaller raises than she would have liked.
This past year, we had to do 4% for people who make less and 2% for people who make more. And it wasn't great news.
The employees here make at least $15 an hour, which is more than $1 over the median wage for childcare workers across the country. Still, Roberts King says having less money to pay employees affects her ability to hire. It also affects current staff members.
It's just the pay in this career is not enough.
Tiffany Thornton is a teacher with Downtown Baltimore Child Care. She loves the work, but says she still has to supplement her income.
I've been here 20 years and I still do side jobs. Like I babysit on the side. I do Instacart on the side.
Thornton has held off having kids of her own. She is worried she wouldn't be able to afford it. She's 39.
I don't have a lot of time to figure that out. I'm getting older, but no, I don't have kids. And that's one of the reasons why childcare is expensive. The pay doesn't match, the economy right now.
Thornton says she'll stick with the job because she is, at her core, an early childhood educator. But others have left the industry. There's more than 38,000 fewer child care providers now than in February 2020. In Baltimore, I'm Stephanie Hughes for Marketplace.
And there are still unsettling messages up on the sites and apps of many banks this morning after some kind of system glitch at the private company that processes direct deposits, known as the Electronic Payments Network. It affected some payments this past Friday, November 3rd. Banks have promised to sort it out. For instance, Bank of America's app this morning is still warning that some deposits may be temporarily delayed, but that accounts are secure and that the balance will be updated. However, customers will want to know that no other checks bounced or credit scores affected by this. We are monitoring. In New York, I'm David Brancaccio. It's the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.